spoilers ahead if you haven't seen the Backrooms movie. What's up, guys? It's Liminal Vlogger 200 here, creator of Hit. Liminal Vlog. That's me. I just want to give my credentials as to why I get to talk about this film, as if I'm, some measure of authority on what might make a good Backrooms film. And also, you're gonna have to excuse my morning voice because I want to film this as immediately as possible post watching the film, which was last night, and so I just got up, made myself a cup of tea, and I'm here to say the truth, that it really wasn't what I was expecting. A lot of it was what I hoped for, which was the found footage vibe was very well kept. In fact, there were literal parts of the film which were just found footage. It's like we got 3 new found footages released with the film. Classic Kane Pixels found footages released with the film. I wonder if he got help, rendering. I mean, you know what I mean, like 3D rendering those. Now that he's a fucking director for A24, or if he just made them the classic way like Kane Pixels usually does. I'm very interested to know. Anyway, but basically, they added another level to it, which was taking just the scary parts and being like, okay, this is good, but we need something better, to hold a narrative of a film together. And so Kane decided to make it a metaphorical exploration of what it's like going into your internal self, how you're constantly building up walls as you grow up because you're, responding to defense mechanisms and, things that good and bad that happen in your life, and things you want to revisit and things you don't. And the film treats the Backrooms as a metaphorical landscape to explore this narrative with the main character and his therapist. And I also think it's a hilariously entertaining exploration of what it's like to be a therapist going into a fucked up person's brain. I thought that was quite funny. Although I love Renata Rinsiv, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. She was fantastic in Sentimental Value, and she has a great way of looking like she has this deep-seated sadness behind her eyes. Although there were plenty of parts of the film where I was like, brother, you should not be saying that as a therapist. You know what I mean? Like you should know better than this. I feel. It's just when therapists are like, I can't help you. You're unhelpable. You're unfixable. It's like that's like the whole idea, man. Like that's why a lot of people go to therapy. And that like no therapist. I think no good therapist would ever say that. I guess she's a bad therapist. I don't know. But to delve into Mary's character a little bit more, I really liked her backstory. I thought the opening shot was great. After the found footage, I thought the opening shot of her house being demolished was fantastic. And I think overall the idea that the Backrooms is this memory relapsing place, remembering things worse and worse and worse, also fitted in with the narrative that, we put up walls to protect ourselves from certain memories, such as Renata Rinsiv's character, I think it's Mary, remembering the horrors of living with her mom, and how at the end of the film there is this backroomification of her demolished house, and in the middle of the film there's this backroomification of her living room area and stuff, and I thought the most of the horror was done really, really well. But to get back into her mom for a little bit, okay, this sounds odd. Anyway, the idea that there was somebody similarly who like fell into the Backrooms, I guess, succumbed to their very difficult mental troubles, I guess might be the metaphor for that. Having a kid, and then that kid being one of the main characters, I think was a fantastic idea, because it's like she definitely got backroomed. And then when she's in the insane facility, they use Everywhere at the End of Time. They use The Caretaker. I think it's a song from like stage 2 or stage 3 or something. And I was so chuffed. I literally turned to my friend. I was like, and like he was like, what? Anyway, so Caretaker fans, Everywhere at the End of Time fans, you went in for this one. And I think that was along with the very obvious reference to Everywhere at the End of Time, Stage 6's album cover, being in the trailers and being in the film itself, like marking out the door. I think Kane Pixels is very aware that those two are within the same realm of entertainment, almost, you know what I mean? Which I'm glad, because I thought initially for a while, I thought maybe I was one of the few people who were enjoying making this comparison, because in one of my videos on my other channel, Studios Unoriginal, I made such a video essay comparing the two. Another point in my favor for reputability. I will say there were some points where it got a bit too slasher for my liking, especially when the first guy was killed, when the classic, you know, crop top white boy in a horror movie murdered. I thought those two would have anything more to do than what they did in the film, which was really funny. And part of the film was really funny. It was very entertaining in the humorous way when the crop top white boy was on screen doing the found footage. I thought he was hilarious. And you know, then he fell down the thing. They all fell down the thing. And then it just got a bit like, okay, I'm watching this for the enjoyment of this basically being a found footage from Kane Pixels. Because after that, it just turned into this awesome exploration of like different, like, you know, like the pool rooms and like this weird, you know, one-way wall that Clark and I forget his assistant's name. Anyway, you really aren't in it in this movie for the names of the characters, I've noticed from trying to talk about it. But beyond that, beyond some of the slasher parts that I wasn't really a huge fan of, there was some fantastic horror. You know, how were they gonna make the mysterious, deep, booming, you know, thing that was walking around seem creepy? I think it was a hard task. And according to some of the people I watched the movie with, they would have preferred less of the thing that ended up appearing with this like disgusting giant version of Clark in the pirate costume. They would have preferred less of it, but I don't think any of them claimed that it wasn't very well designed, very creepily designed. And I thought it was, in that sense, fantastic. Like, just so terrifying and creepy. And the eyes and, oh, awful. After discussing it back and forth with my friend Max a little bit, this film holds an explanation for, oh, by the way, no, I'll come back to that. There's so many thoughts. Okay, hold on. It holds an explanation for the first found footage stick figure monster that runs around. The first found footage stick figure monster thing is like this limping, you know, weird deformation. It's got a kind of humanoid figure. It's got a bit of a triangle head. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, what the hell's that? You know? And it's like, some people have pointed out that maybe it's screaming, help me, you know, like that guy. Anyway, whether or not that's true, that stick figure, I'm pretty sure that found footage, the first one, is the furthest ahead in the dates that Kane Pixels puts at the bottom of his found footage videos. I think it's the furthest ahead, and therefore the latest in the installment, and would be the worst re-remembered version possibly of the giant pirate version of Clark, which would make sense because that's exactly what the fucking terrifying thing looks like in its like stick figure form. And because it's been re-remembered so many times, it's just got like this kind of simplistic stick figure form, still terrifying, still limping around, you know, the same way. I'm pretty sure that's it. That's locked in. That's a fantastic theory. I want to thank Max for going back and forth with me on that, but I don't know. Let me know what you think, I guess, in that respect, because I think that's the biggest revelation I've come to after watching this film. Also, you might notice and appreciate my decor. I could have filmed this, first of all, not on a old camcorder, which I am choosing to do. And secondly, well, actually, my entire apartment is covered in these popcorn yellow walls. However, it's pretty suited to this discussion. I thought the build-up was great. I thought it had a very... I didn't think the opening shot was great. The first couple shots. I thought the first scene with him and the therapist was pretty bad, actually. I did not enjoy that. But it paid off later because it's like this direct like exploration later on of the exact same conversation, but having it with somebody who's like delved way... Okay. Sorry, there's somebody... Interesting. Sorry, I just got backroomified, guys. Anyway, it was very cyclic in that way. And internally, I noticed that Mary looked a lot like his wife, just with red hair. And then when they put the fucking sculpt thing on, I was like, yes. Well, I wasn't like, you know what I mean? I wasn't like, yes, but I was like, this is a direct callback to something I noticed. I'm glad that I noticed that. I also found it very interesting how it was clearly different things or like CGI or VFX or whatever that they were using when they had the Backrooms characters in the background, you know, they were using like props and like maybe a little bit of VFX or whatever, but then when they would like zoom in on them, when they would be like cut to like a close-up shot, it would just be like this completely like way more detailed, like kind of look different face. And I think that added to the eerie quality. Like if you zoom in enough on anything in the Backrooms, it just gets creepier and creepier. You know, if you pay more attention, it just gets creepier and creepier. And then lastly, I will say the final run, you know, the final push was fantastic. Like just Mary's character, or Mary running away from this clock thing, I think was done very in a classic, you know, horror way. She fucking hurts her foot or whatever, classic shit, you know. But in a way that got to explore, obviously, more of the Backrooms and see more areas like that. The only thing I could have wished is that this came out sooner, along with the intense hype. But what can you do? It was a big film that took a long time to make, and they have really, really worked their asses off. And I think it looks fantastic. I really, really liked that last look of pity Mary gave to the monster when she realized that she was like safe and she was on her way out. I feel like that's very, you know, that was like, I was like, okay, good job being a therapist, you know, right there. Like that should be the idea. Yeah. And also when she was pushing up against its face and it was like, she was hitting it with a rock, it was just so gruesome and gross, and it was just this like, it reminds me of the times I've like played with my dog almost, and this animal has been like, it's not really about to kill me, but like it feels like it's pretending like it is about to kill me, and in the movie obviously it is actually about to kill her. But it was just like covering the whole screen. She's pushing at it with both hands. It's just so like Cronenberg, you know what I mean? Overall, I guess I'm so happy this film gave me a lot to talk about to my friends after the film. You know what I mean? I was going into it, I was hoping to see some cool new backroom footage, found footage maybe, type shit, and then leave being satisfied that I got to explore the world of the Backrooms a bit more. Not only did it build up a very, very fun narrative for me to enjoy, and I think it did it pretty successfully, albeit I would say like there were some qualities of the way I think that it was written. I don't know, maybe I'm the only one who experienced this. Some qualities of the way that it was written that seemed a little bit amateurish. I don't know. Or the back and forth, the dialogue sometimes, you know, wasn't really clicking for me. It seemed a bit simplistic. Then again, it's a Backrooms movie, you know what I mean? But I think it went above and beyond what people really wanted from the film. And I think a lot of people are going to be talking about the film and like the things that, you know, it implies, and like going to a deeper level for the Backrooms, I think was a terrific idea and has totally won out, as opposed to making a film that's just, here's some cool, eerie backroom stuff, you know? But it does also do that. Ultimately, I want to say that the film was very satisfactory for me as a Backrooms film. Left some things to be desired as just a film in general, but way better than anything I really was expecting. And I would highly recommend that you go watch it. If you haven't already, I don't know why you're watching this. I should have probably said, okay, I'm going to put this at the start. So it's actually going to be a loop, this video. So get ready for that. You know what I mean? But spoiler